Hello, everyone, and welcome to the September 30th, 2015 episode of Balls Deep Sports Talk. I am your host, Scotty Ball. Thank you for tuning in with me this fine fall evening. At least if you live anywhere near I do here in the great state of Minnesota, that is, anyway. The weather is just beautiful. It has been so far this week. It sounds like it's going to continue at least here for another couple days. And so if you are fortunate enough as I am to be in one of those places, make sure you are getting outside here and enjoying some of this beautiful fall weather while you have the chance, because before you know it, Old Man Winter will rear its ugly head and be knocking on your door with a 2.5 foot tall snowdrift for you to have to shovel or snowblow your way out of. So there, starting the show off with a little just general life advice, because I'm totally qualified to do such things. But anyway, this is our 33rd? Yeah, 33rd episode of the show. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you are tuning in on WNLMradio.com, or perhaps you enjoy the show 24/7 on demand, whether it be live or any old day and time of the week, on the free Spreaker app, TuneIn app, SoundCloud, and YouTube. So many platforms the show is being broadcast to you on. Thank you for enjoying it on whatever means you choose most convenient and enjoyable for you. Alright, so we have, as always, a lot of stuff to discuss in the sports world here with you on the show. We have plenty of NFL, of course, including my and possibly your Minnesota Vikings. You will get my recap of their game against the San Diego Chargers, in which they were victorious here this last week, as well as a preview on their upcoming game versus the Denver Broncos in Denver this Sunday, and other general Vikings thoughts, as well as league-wide recap of Week 3's NFL results, as well as my Week 4 preview and picks, and any other news, injuries, trades, what have you, things like that that you might find relevant, interesting, and want to know about. We'll also be discussing some college football. We've had a definite reshifting in the perceived to be college power landscape here. So from the beginning of the season just a month ago to Week 5 in the season here now, and so we will be getting you up to speed on that, as well as discussing maybe your and kind of sort of my Minnesota Gophers, how they fared last week, and what to expect this week as they start their Big Ten season against Northwestern. Surprisingly good in the top 25 Northwestern, but we'll give more details on that when we actually talk the spot. We will also be discussing Major League Baseball, as we are in the final week of the baseball regular season. Playoff seedings and playoff teams will be finalized over the course of the next 6 to 7 days, including today and tonight, where my and maybe your Minnesota Twins find themselves involved in a doubleheader. You rest assured there will be plenty of puns on that when we get to talking baseball later on in the show. And there was also I found at least, very interesting, entertaining, juicy Major League Baseball incident regarding the Washington Nationals and two of their players a couple days ago. Those two players by the names of closer Jonathan Papelbon and new Major League superstar, face of the league apparent type player Bryce Harper. They were involved in a little altercation, and we'll be discussing that when we talk baseball as well. We'll also be talking just a little bit of NHL hockey. We have the preseason underway right now, and the regular season for your NHL teams will be starting very soon, so you will get just a brief take on that. next week, look for an extensive, hopefully, hockey preview, or at least as extensive as my average to sub-average hockey mind will allow for. But I do it for all the other sports, so I'll make sure to do it for my hockey fans here as well. We will also be discussing a little bit of NBA news. Their season doesn't start for, towards the end of October yet, but their preseason getting underway and regular season starting to take shape, training camp injuries, that sort of thing. So a little bit to discuss in NBA news, plenty of to discuss in WNBA news. That's right, the WNBA finals are upon us. They will be starting this Sunday, which is whoever scheduled that for the WNBA is just, that's awful. Couldn't you put it on Monday or Saturday, or not Saturday with college football, but put it on Monday. But we'll talk about that when we talk about WNBA. But anyway, we got WNBA finals to discuss, which will include my and possibly your Minnesota Lynx as one of the two teams vying for the WNBA championship. We've also got PGA Tour golf news to discuss, recap from this last weekend's events at the Tour Championship, where the FedEx Cup winner was determined. We will also be getting you up to speed on some NASCAR, what the results were from last week's race, and possibly who to look for in this week's upcoming race. Getting you caught up to speed on their Cup tournament that is going on now. They are in their playoffs, basically, the wild card and divisional rounds of their playoffs. If you were to equate it to a general team sport, that is where we are in the NASCAR season. So I'll be trying to get you up to speed, really bad pun intended, on that, as well as sharing just a little bit of NASCAR driver news with you as well that caught my eyes and ears over the last few days. We'll also be discussing some UFC, as UFC 192 is set for this Saturday. And maybe I'll throw in some more random Bruce Buffer voices during that segment, or maybe I'll spare you. Not sure yet, but I will definitely be previewing UFC 192 upcoming in the show, going over the entire match card, in-depth previews best I can on at least a few of the matchups, as well as at least who the other fighters are, and I'll give you a pick at least in each of them. Why not? We'll also be discussing, as always, some WWE, because this is my show and I can do what I want on it. So I talk WWE a little bit. It is not a sport, but it is sports entertainment. I enjoy it, and I respect it, and I appreciate it. And talking about it is interesting and entertaining to me, and I know that several, if not many, of my regular Balls Deep goers every Wednesday night at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on WNLMradio.com do also enjoy WWE, that they are pro wrestling fans as well. So we'll be talking about the upcoming Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, at the end of October. We will also be talking about the WWE Network special event that will be this Saturday. That's right, this Saturday. It's basically we get two pay-per-views this month, kind of, but one of them's on a Saturday. It's only available on the WWE Network. They're just calling it Live at Madison Square Garden, but we will preview that as well. Also, maybe be discussing the plummeting Raw ratings just a little bit, and my theory that it is almost entirely due to the plummeting quality of product that they are putting on air every week. And that is about, and then we'll get my Balls Deep thought of the day after we've talked about everything and what topic or issue we want to chew on and think some more until we meet again next week, which hopefully you choose to join. If you would like to contact me for any reason, which man would it tickle me pink, just put me over the moon and rainbow. If anyone were to tweet me a show-related comment or question based off of something they heard here while listening to the show. That would just be the greatest thing ever. You can do that by tweeting me at BDST Show. Make sure to follow me while you're on Twitter. Benefit of following me on Twitter, I like to share as many interesting sports news as they are currently happening that I happen to stumble upon, as well as live tweeting during some of my favorite sporting events like a Vikings game or a WWE pay-per-view, for example. Also, if Facebook is more your thing than Twitter, it's not mine, but I have to be on there because it's 2015 and I don't live in a third world country, so I'm like legally obligated to be on Facebook in some form or capacity. So if that is more your thing and you'd like to get a hold of me that way, you can simply search Scotty-Ball and then make sure to like me and friend me. Alright, well, what are we going to start with this evening for our hit opening segment here on the show? Boy, a lot of good stuff. I'm really pumped about UFC 192. I was very recently in contact with my personal UFC expert source and got his takes on the 3 big main fights at the upcoming UFC this Saturday. So I am coming off of that conversation. I am definitely on fire about that topic, where I could start with that this evening. However, I think we'll save that for a little later in the show because football tends to take up such a large portion of the show here every week now that it's football season. And I think it's better to do the bigger, it's kind of the opposite from real life. Normally in real life you want to start out with the small stuff and work your way up to the big ones. But here on, showbiz, sports talk, radio, entertainment, whatever, when you have a certain time frame that you're dealing with, sometimes it's best to just, start with the money and make people happy and give them what they want, and then go from there and work the priorities down the list. So while I am stoked to discuss UFC, we will be saving that for later in the show. However, I promise I will try to not make you wait too terribly long for the UFC 192 preview. Boy, my Minnesota Lynx, my girls, my women, they are in the WNBA Finals, so could totally open with that, but alas, I will not. WWE, definitely nothing worth opening a show there unless you're so disappointed and upset with how lackluster, mediocre the product is or has been lately, that you're just worked up into a frenzy about it. NASCAR. I said NASCAR like I'm missing my front 2 teeth. NASCAR, I'm just, I'm not quite enough into, so we can't start with that. PGA, boy, we could definitely start fired up about golf. What happened to end the PGA regular season and postseason, really, this last weekend, involving one Jordan Spieth at the Tour Championship, as well as great play from other competitors such as Henrik Stenson, Paul Casey, Jason Day, Rory McIlroy, and others. I'm a huge golf fan. I wish I was out golfing this whole entire day for like the last 6 hours. I wish I was doing nothing but being outside golfing in this perfect, beautiful 55 to 65 degree, calm to breezy wind conditions, but alas, my destiny brings me to talk sports with you every Wednesday night, and so there was no golf course in my life today. But rest assured and sleep easy, I will do everything in my power to get myself onto a golf course and play some golf tomorrow. It is my solemn vow and promise to you. Okay, but no PGA. College football, NFL football, I'm more of an NFL guy, so I'm always going to pick NFL unless something crazy big happened in college. So that basically leaves us with NFL or Major League Baseball. By all accounts, I should be starting with Major League Baseball.